Right now, it's worth as much as the paper it's printed on.
And it's a task that Nick has passionately assumed, knowing that in less than 20 years, Social Security will be in serious trouble.
I found my Social Security statement online now, and they put a little interesting disclaimer on it. And it said, without changes in 2033, Social Security will be able to pay only 77 cents for each dollar of scheduled benefits.
And that's for everybody, not just Nick's generation.
That means if we wait until 20 years from now without changing anything about the program, my check is going to be 23% less. So that's why I think we need to do something about it that protects you, but also does something so my generation can have some retirement security too.
You have to change it, Nick.
Right.
You have my permission, change it.
But Nick knows he needs more than Grandma's permission.
Stole from Brittany's house.
Proud of you.
He needs to get the attention of policymakers.
That's what we got. So.
Which brings us back to Capitol Hill.
Hi, Nick Triana.
Nick Triana.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. Where are you guys from?
And that big meeting Nick was waiting for.
It's time for the can to kick back.
Yeah.
Washington's been taking
absolutely.
it down too long. So our nonpartisan effort is trying to organize young people locally in high schools, college campuses, young professional communities to put some greater pressure on Congress and the White House to achieve a generationally balanced deficit reduction agreement.
Yeah, I mean, look, you know where the trajectory is going. You know your generation. I'm X generation. You guys, what do you call yourselves? Y or millennials?
Millennials.
You're millennials. Yeah, sorry. You got a beard. I figured I'd just give you credit for you know, but you know, we know without a shred of doubt that you're going to get a lower standard of living. We know that. The government's making all these promises to you that we know it can't keep.
Social Security was enacted in the throes of the Great Depression.
Young people have come to wonder what would be their lot when they came to old age.
We started to think about retirement as a legitimate life course right around the Social Security passage. So it's a recent expectation for the past 60 years. Very wealthy and privileged workers always expected that they would have time at the end of their working lives.
This Social Security measure gives at least some protection.
It promised some degree of retirement security to America's lower income elderly.
Before Social Security, we had a great deal of division between who got to have a time of dignity and who did not. So people without resources had to work and scrape by and died during that activity. Or if they were lucky enough to work in their 60s and 70s, they died on the job.
So was Social Security ever intended to be a standalone retirement plan?
Retirement should be a three-legged stool. There should be some personal savings, a pension, and the guarantee of Social Security.
The way Social Security functions in our system is as a kind of backstop to prevent people from falling into poverty in old age. It's obviously supposed to be the first leg of the stool, not the whole stool.
It means everything to me because without it, I wouldn't be able to survive.
For many Americans, the Social Security leg has taken on an outsized role for which it was never intended.
Unfortunately, a lot of people haven't saved on their own. So there is a huge fraction of the elderly who are wholly dependent on Social Security or mostly dependent on Social Security.
We can't rely on the government to provide the sole source of retirement income. Otherwise, what you're doing is you're changing that three-legged stool into a pogo stick.
And even as more Americans become over-reliant on that single leg, some economists, like Lawrence Kotlikoff, say problems in the very structure of Social Security are bringing us to the brink of a crisis.
Social Security is bankrupt. Social Security got going without anybody thinking about who's going to pay the bills when they started making these promises. We're not measuring what we're doing to our kids. We're not talking about who's going to pay for different generations' benefits. That's the design flaw that underlies Social Security.
Not everyone sees Social Security's design as flawed.
We needed to build a floor or a foundation. That is the genius of Social Security. We all pull the wagon in our youth because we might have to sit in the wagon in our latter years.
But are there enough people to pull a wagon weighed down with a growing number of retirees?
Social Security is supposed to be a generational pact and a promise to the next generation, but it's turning out to be an unsustainable pyramid scheme. The program of Social Security relies on current workers being able to pay for current retirees. But what's happening as we move forward is that there are a lot more retirees and a lot less workers.
This is Nikki. Fix the debt.
I feel sorry for the kids. Like Nikki's generation, for sure. What's it gonna be for them is what I wanna know.
Scares me. That scares me also because I don't think that there will be Social Security. So I don't know what I'm gonna be dependent on. I sure hope I'm not dependent on my kids. That's what I tell my husband. I just hope that we can be able to take care of ourselves and don't burden the kids.
It's going to take some sort of crisis. It's going to take a lot of people living longer without enough savings, facing extreme hardship for us to begin to really start having these conversations.
No pressure.